Play with a win, getting that momentum and building that confidence is huge as a team. It's also great to win at home in front of our fans and students. Starting off at 2-0 at home has been huge, and it will be huge in the future. Having some really good quality opponents coming in here that will have an opportunity to face at home will be huge for us. It'll be a great matchup this week with Southern Miss. They got one of the top ranked scoring defense in our conference, averaging a little bit over 13 points a game given up. I think they're ranked number 4 in the nation in passing defense, allowing only 122 yards, and number 6 in the nation on total defense. So it'll be a great matchup. Our offense against their defense, and then offensively they're very explosive, leading the conference in passing yardage per game, and we're going to have to do a much better job than we did this past week on making sure that our discipline's correct to be able to cover their guys out in space. So, again, they're a very well-coached team. Coming here we'll be going there. I know they'll have a lot of enthusiasm and having their week off, be ready to play, and we're going to have to match that excitement and make sure that we have a great week of preparation for another exciting game in conference play on the road against a very, very good opponent. That'll open it up.
Coach, in the win against UAB, how much could you feel the energy and the fans help y'all in that game?
That's key. Playing at home in Apogee in front of your friends and family and support, it always gives you that boost, especially when we're in the situation where we were in kind of late, having to face some adversity. They fought very hard and coming back. We let them back in the game there in the fourth quarter, and it was key to feed off our crowd and our support in order to give us enough to finish off the game there at the end.
You mentioned your secondary will obviously have a big task ahead of them. What specific things have you seen that they have worked on to try to improve just over really the season?
Just overall discipline, just talking with our guys, just understanding football. I mean, you're not going to pick off many hitch routes, and especially, is what happens when you try to pick those off. You're driving hard and inside. And the right technique is, if you're going to drive a hitch route, you better be driving it hard down and outside. So for the hitch and go, if he does, he's going to run into you at least. So just little details, the finer details of that. I think last year, in this game, we looked at it. They tried a couple hitches of goes, a flea flicker. I think 2 more double moves that we defended very well against our opponent, against Southern Miss this past year. And they had much more discipline, and we got to get back to the base fundamentals of what we're trying to get accomplished on that back end. We have some guys doing some really good things, but we got to play with all 11. I mean, you can't be greedy. You got to play the defense the way it was meant to be played, and your technique the way it's coached.
In their first 3 games, Southern Miss has, in the first quarter, has jumped out to 35-0 total in the first quarter against their first 3 teams. What have you seen from them, and how do you need to match their energy?
Well, they start fast. They do a very good job of game planning, finding the looks that they want to execute and how to attack your whatever side of the ball they're on. And they start fast, and that's key. We got to match that excitement. We've done a pretty decent job starting fast, offensively getting points on the board. This past week took us a little bit of time to settle in on defense. Once we did, I felt like you saw a glimpse of what we can become in all 3 phases when we're all playing at a high level together. I thought it was, other than really the first drive and that giving up the again, hitch and go there right before the half, I thought we played pretty solid football, played well in all 3 phases together, and that's what it's going to take. I mean, we got to continue to start fast and finish strong.
Southern Miss third down defense is second in the nation, I believe. They've about 6 conversions on 41 attempts. What have you seen from them on that end, and how do you need to attack?
Not only third down, they're good across the board on every down. I mean, there's a reason why they're leading and/or they're high in the country, and a lot of statistics defensively. They're very good at what they do. They make it hard to run the football as well. Their safeties are very aggressive. They're going to fit the run very, very good, and there's a lot of support out there for them. So we're going to have to make sure that we do a great job up front. Our backs are going to be one-on-one a lot with their safeties in space, and we got to do a good job of making them miss. And we also got to hit some explosive plays on the perimeter. We've done a decent job stretching the field, hitting some explosive plays. Last week was our best yet. I think we had 18 explosive plays throughout a game, which is really, really good. So we got to continue that. We got to continue hitting big plays to loosen them up and make sure that we got to make them play honest defensively. And again, they're really, really good at what they do. But it'll be a great matchup. I feel like we're pretty good at what we do right now as well. We just got to continue to perform the way we have in the last couple of weeks.
Your offense has averaged 38 points a game in these first 4 games. What have you seen from Graham as far as play calling goes in these first 4 games?
Yeah, getting much more comfortable. As you do, the more you call it, the more games you're a part of. It's like players. I mean, just the practice of it, and getting more comfortable. But understanding too, what's your strengths and weaknesses. Getting your players comfortable and what's their strengths and weaknesses, trying to put them in the best situations. He's done a really good job of that. But I feel like we still have a lot of room for improvement and growth. Felt like in this past game, felt like we left 18 points out on the board that we should have had. We got to make sure we take care of the football and not have those mistakes down there in the tight red zone. We're taking away about 4 points there as well. So.
It seems like Southern Miss is a little different this year in the fact that they found a quarterback, the junior college guy, that wasn't eligible this year. Did that change their team a little bit just with what he's brought to them?
Yeah, I think anytime a new quarterback comes into the system, I know Shannon very well, their offensive coordinator, Shannon Dawson. He does a great job. We come from the same background, same systems per se. And he's going to do a great job of building that system to the quarterback's strengths and what he does well. He's done this a long time, and he understands what he's going to be good at, and he's going to be good at putting them in good situations. So, yeah, I think they're good offensively. And again, we got to make sure we're more disciplined and across the board. Still got to do a great job against the run. They're a very balanced offense, so you got to try to make them one-dimensional. And then when you do, you got to be very disciplined about how you're going to go about playing football.
It's been kind of a struggle early in the season offensively. Do you think that's just an issue with giving up a few big plays in the secondary, or is there kind of a wider deal there?
I'm sorry.
Just defensively, what's been the struggle early in the season?
We're giving up too many big plays. Getting them in. We've been really good on first and second down. Been very productive, and we've been very unproductive on third down, getting off the field. Again, in the first half, we were much better. We were 3 of 7 defensively. I think they had 6, maybe 7 out of the possessions, they were 3 and out. So they did some really good things. Again, in the second half, it went back to some of the things that have hurt us early in the year, and that's we didn't get off the field on third down as well. We gave up big plays, and we got to be more disciplined than that. I mean, everybody knows what we need to do. I mean, it's right out there for everyone to see. We just got to do a good job of coaching it up and getting better.
Is that a little bit of a product of the system? I know you guys wanted to be more aggressive this year and that kind of deal. Is giving up some of those big plays, is that more a product of, hey, we're going to come after you, we're going to be aggressive, you naturally give up more big plays?
No, I mean, we weren't being aggressive on those plays. We were being undisciplined. I mean, the coverage is there. Again, I just said it. You don't drive the hitch route inside. Not going to pick off many hitch routes. That's discipline to me. We're going to play aggressive on defense. I feel like we've done a really good job this past week. We did a great job. They're averaging 240 or 50 yards rushing, and we held them on to 74 or 5 yards on 29 or 30 attempts. So we're doing some really good things. We got to clean up the things that I've talked about.
Against UAB, you picked up your 500 win as a program. How significant was that for y'all?
It's big. It's always great being a part of something special. 500 wins is a special landmark, and I'm honored to have been a part of a team that had the opportunity to get there.
Coach, freshmen and redshirt freshmen like Nick Smith, Jalen Darden, and Mikhail, what have you seen from them as far as work ethic and the progress they've made so far this year?
There's a reason they're playing, because they work extremely hard. All those guys have the talent. I feel like they're exactly what we saw, in some cases better even on tape than we saw in high school. Felt like they would give us an opportunity in the future to be really good football players and help this team win. But I think all three of those guys are really mature, and they've grown up maybe even quicker than I thought they would. But I'm very excited about that class. A lot of the young guys that are playing and some of the guys that are even redshirting, I feel like our coaches did a really good job of evaluating the talent that fits our system. And I think the future is really bright.
One guy that's come in here and, immediately moved in your starting lineup is Mayfield at tackle. Can you talk a little bit about him and how he got here and what made you think he would be a good fit for this program?
Well, I knew the experience he had. He had success, obviously, with his previous school, being a high-end player. And he had some things that happened that ended up getting injured and having to sit out a year, and gave him the opportunity, I guess, to sit and think about kind of what he wanted to do in his future. Wanted to play at this level, and after seeing what I saw on tape, I knew he would be somebody that had a lot of maturity, that could come in here, very smart, learn the offense, and could compete for a starting position. And he did all those things. He was great. I felt like he was maybe a little bit uncomfortable early in the season, as a lot of people are, when you're going out for the first time in a new system, new coaching staff, new guys around you. It's hard to build that chemistry and gel until you've been in the fire with them. But I felt like he's really, every game he's gotten more confident with his teammates, and again, how we're calling things. I think Iowa was a real big turning point. I thought he played really solid up there in protection. And, he's doing some really good things. He just needs to, along with all those guys, keep coming. But he's been very effective and a great teammate, and we're very fortunate to have him.
Is that kind of an unusual jump, some guy that jumps from the FCS level to the FBS level and is able to start right away like that? Have you seen that often in your career?
Every case is different. I don't know of all the different transfers and all of that, so I think it's individually based. So I know that he's done a really good job with the transition. Hadn't been too big for him, and I feel like he's doing some really good things.
It seems like a pretty smart guy. Has he made an impact just on your team with his maturity and what he's been able to do?
Really, yeah, he is really sharp. Again, he's not only smart on the field, but he's smart off the field in the classroom. He's a great teammate. Our players, our family respects him, and like everybody, I think part of it's just it all starts with being a great teammate, and that'll build respect with a lot of the guys in that locker room. But you still got to put the work and effort and energy into learning and growing and fitting in the offense, and more so building the chemistry with the guys on the field. So he's done a great job of that. And again, we're excited to have him.
What's he like as a person now that you've kind of gotten to know him, now that he's been on campus a while?
Great. Great person, really laid back, kind of quiet, off the field, and, yes or no sort of guy, very respectful, comes from a good family, and again, off the field, he's great. He's starting to get more confidence on the field, and you're starting to hear more of his vocal side stepping up, and I think he's getting more comfortable and part of a leadership role when it comes to on the offensive line, that group stepping up and having more of a voice when we get on the field.
Was he one of those guys you kind of needed to add to that group just with his experience and everything that he
with your experience and the lack of depth, that we've had on the offensive line, we've had to this past year, and even at times this year, we've had to shuffle some guys in some different areas, to make sure that if something happens that we're prepared and ready for somebody else to step up somewhere else. So it's been key for us. Again, I think having him not only added that depth, but added competition. Anytime you're competing, you're getting better as a group, getting better as individuals. And another group, again, Riley's been great, but another group I'm really excited about are all those freshman O-linemen. There's probably a couple in there that could easily play for us right now, but it's good to have that opportunity right now to where we can hopefully redshirt them, give them a year to develop, and gain that extra year with them in the future. So But I'm really excited about that group. I think our freshman class is doing some really good things. I think they're going to be really good football players. And again, adding Riley to the mix was it added that depth, so we were allowed to do some of that redshirting, plus that competition, which got everybody better.
You got Wheeler back last week. I mean, it seemed like he was playing at his best. Was it just great to get him back out there and at full strength?
Yeah, he's been banged up, and he's got hit by the injury bug, and he's worked extremely hard to get back on the field. So you're always excited when guys are able to get back out there. But he brings a lot of energy and athleticism to our defense. He's a relentless player. He doesn't ever give up on the play. He runs the football. He overcomes a lot of things, but just with his mentality alone of just being relentless. And so it's good to see him out there making plays. He's a great practice player and one of those guys that you're rooting for to get back out there because you know how bad he wants to. Just kind of he got hit, and that adversity, faces a lot of individuals, and we just got to make sure we overcome it. And our trainers and doctors are doing a great job of their rehab and getting guys back out there as quickly as possible. And but it's also on the players; they got to work extremely hard to get back out there as well. They got to do their part.
Does he just have that unique talent to be a pass rusher? Does he have that ability?
He's quick off the edge, and again, I think a lot of it just he's relentless. I mean, he's not going to ever give you he's not going to give up at all. And some of that's that grit, determination that you look at in certain individuals that, like, how is he so successful on a lot of things he does? And I think a lot of it comes down to, are you giving 100% effort on every play? And there's a guy out there who does, and it's him. And he's one of those guys. So he's doing some really good things. We're excited to have him back, making plays. And, again, adding depth to that position is key. We're a little thin. And so that's been a huge it's been huge for us to get him back.
Just what was the situation with Isidore? I guess he's no longer with the program. Or?
Yeah, he wasn't happy with his current situation here, and we had a meeting and mutually agreed that it was best that he moved on and looked for other opportunities. We've worked very hard in creating a winning culture here, and you got to be a great teammate, got to be a selfless teammate, and at the end of the day, I'm not going to compromise for anybody. It's not happening.
Depth-wise, does that kind of leave Cade Pearson then in that third spot behind Quinn Shandor?
Yes.
Coach, you haven't won a game on the road since y'all played at Army last. What are some of the challenges that come with playing on the road?
Same challenges you have at home, except you don't have the fans. You don't have the energy, so you got to create your own environment. You got to create and feed off the energy that's in their crowd and feed off each other. I thought they did a great job of that at Iowa. I thought they did a great job of that, feeding off that energy that they had and off each other going into the game. So that's key. A lot of the times it takes you a little bit longer to get going, I think, on the road because of that. But you got to be mentally tough enough and understand throughout the week. We got to be our own energy. You got to focus in, and it's no different than playing out of our own stadium. This football field's still the same length, and your routine stays the same, other than you're getting on a flight to go somewhere. We stay at the hotel anyway the night before a game, so your routine doesn't change as much. It's just a matter of being mentally tough enough and feeding off each other.
It seems like Kelvin Smith's gotten a little more involved in the offense over the last couple of weeks. Has that been a point of emphasis for you guys offensively?
Yeah, Kelvin's been doing some really good things. He's probably, talk about his versatility, meaning he can do a lot of different things for us offensively, whether it's been lining up in the slots, H-back, a tight end, and as what that does, it forces defenses to be honest within their packages. If they want to send a lot of guys personnel, 11 personnel or 12 personnel, and so we got to be able to, be multiple out of those formations with that personnel, so they're having to coach those guys throughout the week, every single blitz, every single front, every single fit, no matter who's in there. But he's been very good. He last week he took 71 out of 73 snaps, and so He played a lot of football, played at a very high level, made some key catches, converting on some third downs, made some very competitive plays. But the things you don't see is him mixing it up in the run game, his effort out on the perimeter, blocking in the run. He's done some really good things. He's still young. He hadn't done a lot of that, a lot of the things that we've asked him to do. Didn't want to put too much on anybody this past year of more keeping it simple and simplifying it as much as possible. But, throughout this past spring and through fall camp, we've really worked with him a lot more on the H-back tight end side of things. He's always done a pretty decent job in the slots of running routes. He has great hands, soft hands. So we had to work on some minor details within the position of tight end. And so he's getting more comfortable with it as he goes. But you talk about a selfless teammate, that's one of them. He's going to do whatever you ask and whatever he needs to do for his team to be successful, whether that's going and catching the ball 10 times or not having any catches and mixing it up in the run game. He's been great about what do I need to do to help us win.
Coach, what's the status of Jalen Darden? He appears to be banged up.
Yeah, he was really surprisingly, he ended up being ready for this past weekend. Didn't feel like he would be back that quick. He's a quick healer. Our doctors and again our training staff did a great job with him and Mason. But his was maybe a little bit more significant than Mace's. So I just didn't know if he would be out of 1 or 2 weeks. Towards the end of the week, he came back and he felt pretty good. We felt like he was safe enough, and we felt confident in him enough to at least, punt return and getting him back there and feeling comfortable with him. But what happens is you miss so much of the offense on the front of the week that, especially being that young and within the system, it's hard to catch back up, through the week of practice and knowing the game plan and knowing everything that we're trying to get accomplished, and then seeing the different looks that he needs to see. Could he have played some more wide receiver this past weekend? Yes. But again, some of it's the amount of practice reps and making sure that he's ready. He would have been in an emergency situation, and two, we didn't want to put too much on him. We knew he was back, feeling good, but there's always that chance of a setback if you do too much. So we didn't need him as much, but I think he'll be ready full. I'm pretty sure he's going to be ready full go this weekend. That's something.
So do you think he'll be playing in that wide receiver slot this week?
Yeah, he'll be in the mix. We have our rotation, and we have some guys. A lot of guys are making plays for us, and some of those positions. And between him, Mike Law, Kelvin Smith, depending on what package you're wearing, I think Chumlee. So our inside receiver, they're interchangeable. Obviously, not going the tight end routes and stuff like that, but so yeah, depending on, he'll be in the mix. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.